You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Welcome back, everybody. Pick up that glass. It's so good to be back with you. I hope you were with us last week for Toxic Masculinity. We had a great time doing the show again. It actually might be starting to be a thing. Who knows? But had a great time with my brothers from other mothers, Orty Packard and Rowdy Rick. Rowdy Rick can't talk to us right now. He's got some background noise going on where he is, so we just have to be a little patient without Rick right now. But want to thank Leslie Dowd for joining us, Babe of the Month. Until the next one's crowned, it's all hers. She was great. Did a great show with us, and we appreciate Leslie for coming on. Let's see, programming for tonight. Right after me, FUBAR with Politibunny and Orty Packard, and then America Off the Rails. But for those of you who tune in and listen, you might want to make a note here. We do have a programming change coming your way. Looks like it's going to be starting next week. After FUBAR will be Robinson and Wright instead of America Off the Rails. And I don't know where Rick is planning to move America Off the Rails to, if it'll be taking the spot that Robinson and Wright is coming out of, or if he has something else in mind. I don't know. We can't talk to Rick right now, so we're not going to worry about it right now. But just keep that in mind. That's coming next week. After FUBAR on Wednesday nights will be Robinson and Wright. So, ta-da! There it is. And let's see. We got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight, but we do have some technical difficulties as well. Normally when I talk about technical difficulties, I'm talking about some kind of internet connection, bad weather. And now my weather is bad because it's just cold, but it hasn't stormed in a couple of days now. We're going to get more rain starting like Friday or Saturday, something like that. But I at least get a few nice days out of it, albeit frickin' freezing days, which I can't stand. You know what it's like to be sub-freezing at the beach? That's just like torture. Anyway. So, I woke up to 30 degrees this morning here at the beach. That blows. And it's supposed to be that way again tomorrow, but at least tomorrow we're supposed to warm up past 60. So that'll be nice. And then, of course, when we get back into the 70s, that's when the rain returns, right in time for the weekend. So, yay. Mardi Gras is over. Today is Ash Wednesday. The Lenten season has come upon us. And if you missed my tweet earlier today, no, I'm not Catholic. So I'm going to show some solidarity to my Catholic friends and even a couple of family members who are remaining Catholic. I'm going to show some solidarity with them, and I'm going to do kind of a reverse Lent thing. You guys might know I kind of eat clean, keep my diet pretty regulated, and as far as, I don't put a lot of crap into my body. But for Lent, to show support for my friends that I'm sacrificing, I am going to sacrifice and eat garbage food, some kind of garbage food, every day during the Lent season. And today we had a couple of little Reese's peanut butter cups. They were horrid. Horrid. I don't know how people eat that stuff on a daily basis and make it, but I'll be fishing for something a little tastier on the naughty side tomorrow. If you have any ideas, you can hit me up on Twitter and drop them. I don't know what you consider. I had somebody suggest some Peeps today. I don't do Peeps at all, but he was talking about some cheese grit flavored Peeps. I have never even seen those, let alone heard of them. So no, still no. Not just no, but hell no. Anyway, that is what it is. And it's all in fun, folks. I'm not trying to mock anybody, or I'm not trying to mock anybody's religion. It's just all fun. And if you can't have fun, just click the little unfollow button now and walk away. We'll all be better for it. Okay? So I guess let's get things rolling here. This first story, it's a little interesting. There are some concerns over this in the civil rights area, but it's not necessarily a civil rights story. So here we go. Britain's Parliament recently approved a law that will potentially make it easier for their government to access data held on American-owned computer servers. According to their ministers, it currently takes between 6 months and 2 years for British police to obtain legally data held on foreign computer servers. With an estimated 99% of child abuse images located on networks abroad, those delays have led to investigations being stalled or dropped altogether. So, speaking to the House of Commons back at the end of January, Security Minister Ben Wallace recalled one particular case that he said haunted him. Detectives from a regional crime squad had been attempting to track an online plot by pedophiles to kidnap, rape, and kill a 7-year-old girl, the same age as his daughter. If that was not sickening enough, I could sense the frustration of detectives who needed data from overseas to stop the abuse from being committed, because in case after case, timing is everything on these investigations, said Wallace. The new arrangements, as he's talking about this new deal, were needed for a variety of cases where time was of the essence, including efforts to foil terrorist plots. Now, under a process that was begun under the Obama administration, they were negotiating a data access agreement with the U.S. to streamline the process, enabling access within weeks. I don't get this. And maybe somebody in the legal field or law enforcement can enlighten me sometime in the future online on Twitter. You know where to find me. It's at TCC_Grouchy. But enlighten me here. We're going digital. Digital is instant everything. Are we talking about weeks to access the data because of backlogs or processes within the legislative system? I don't get why this is so difficult. You should already have your warrant. And if you have your warrant and the pact or treaty is in place to exchange the data, why would it even take weeks? Why not a couple of hours? I mean, are we in the digital age or are we in the digital age? I don't know. But anyway, once the new treaty is ratified, and they're calling it a treaty, so the U.S. will also be able to obtain data from British servers. The recently passed Overseas Production Orders Act lays the legal groundwork for this potential agreement with the U.S. and Britain and with other countries in the future. Now, speaking for the government in the House of Lords before passage, Junior Minister Susan Williams said it was Parliament's duty to give law enforcement the tools it needed. Okay, I can see that on Britain's side. I can see that on our side. But there are objections being raised during the debate that the data that's seized under the new arrangement might be used in a death penalty case in the United States. And Williams said that that was one of the reasons why Parliament would have a say in any new treaty before it was certified. Although there has never been an identified case where data from a British computer server has been used in a death penalty case in the United States, some lawmakers were concerned that such a case may arise someday. Well, and I can understand that too. My question for them is, what's the problem with a death penalty case? I guess they think it's better to just keep terrorists alive. I guess they find themselves more civilized. My ass. So anyway, as passed, this act requires the government to seek death penalty assurances in any agreement. The reality is that a majority of communication service providers are in the U.S. It is a fact that they need access to data held in the U.S., a lot more than the U.S. needs access to data held in the U.K. Now, Williams echoed previous warnings from government ministers for lawmakers not to tinker too much with the bill. To restrict the minister's discretion in negotiations would jeopardize the agreement and result in serious criminals being able to continue their abuse. Now, Wallace told the House of Commons that the U.S. Was doing Britain a favor in this, and attributed the envisaged agreement to a special relationship with the U.S. It's very special. Earlier, 8 press organizations in the UK released an open letter criticizing the bill as eroding privacy and freedom of expression. Now, that's rich, coming from a country, where they arrest people for tweeting the wrong stuff. Where's their media when that's going on? Talk about stifling freedom of expression and privacy. So, British law does not currently permit police to have a general power to obtain electronic content, and this is something the bill would now allow. Late in its passage through Parliament, the bill was amended to give legal protection to all data held by journalists, not just data deemed confidential. Reporters were given the right to contest in court any attempts to seize this information. However, another late amendment seeking to ensure that overseas orders come from countries with the same press freedom protections as Britain enjoys failed. Now, the National Union of Journalists had a mixed verdict of the bill as passed. They said they were disappointed that there aren't more robust safeguards, but they welcome that journalists will be notified of an application, it said in a statement. So basically, they're just ecstatic that the government is not trying to bully them into turning all their data over, which, if they were actually a free press, they wouldn't have to worry about that to begin with without due process and a warrant, things of that nature. Anyway, let's see. Where does that leave us? That leaves us pretty much like they said, doing Britain a favor. I mean, that bill doesn't hold much of anything for us in it. How many criminal masterminds do you hear of launching, digital terrorist plots from the UK? And that's not to say it can't happen. That's not to say it won't happen in the future, especially given their very loose immigration policies. They don't know who the hell's coming and going in their country anyway. So it could happen. We'll have to wait and see. It definitely does them much more of a favor than it does us. So anyway, that's enough of that. That's, like I said, there's some civil rights stuff in there, but it's not a civil rights story. So ta-da, it's a treaty story about Britain and the U.S. actually cooperating. Now, we have, there's been a lot of hubbub since the release of the proposed Green New Deal. And we've talked about it on the show already before. $93 trillion, whatever the number was, just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But, pardon me, but there's some troubling rumblings about the Green New Deal coming out of the United Nations. Hilal Elver, a U.S.-based Turkish academic appointed by the United Nations Human Rights Council in 2014, said this: "The Democrats' Green New Deal proposal is praiseworthy, but does not go far enough." This is from the UN's Right to Food expert. Okay, this is one day after the Right to Food expert was accused of ignoring the severe food crisis in Venezuela. As I said, she was appointed in 2014 to the Human Rights Council as a special rapporteur on the right to food. And she said the Democratic initiative would be the first major U.S. effort to address the threat of climate change as dynamic, multidimensional, and ubiquitous. And for that alone, it deserves praise. So, first of all, let's just stop here for a minute. When a radical like this, somebody that's even more radical than Ocasio-Cortez, or as my friend Al likes to refer to her, occasional cortex, it's troubling. And it should be troubling because, these people in the UN are they're pushing more and more and more to the left. Globalism in every facet of everything they want passed. And look, you can say what you will, it's just a matter of time before the left is in charge again. Now, does that mean it's coming in 2020? No. Does that mean it's coming in 2024? No. But it is going to happen again. The left is going to win the White House. And God help us, if they get 2 years with the House and Senate to go with the White House. Who knows what kind of havoc these new extreme leftists could wreak if they get elected. She added that the Green New Deal proposal, which critics view as aggressively radical, even socialist, falls far short. Now, the article was posted on Elver's website, and it was attributed to the SR Food team, which she heads, of course. In it, she took the Green New Deal to task for using what she sees as insufficiently robust language. She said the Green New Deal is correct to suggest that the United States has a duty to secure healthy food for all, the article said, but even more than that, the United States has an obligation to ensure that all populations have unrestricted physical and economic access to sufficient quantities of food, nutritionally diverse, safe, and culturally appropriate. I'm sorry, when did feeding the whole friggin' world become our business? What's wrong with their countries feeding them? Why is it the responsibility of the United States? Now, she continued. She said, the U.S. government must stop promoting policies and practices that perpetuate income inequality, a racial wealth divide, reliance on fossil fuels, and industrialized agriculture. So hang on a second. Let me get this chick right. Forget about the income inequality and racial wealth divide, because that's all crap. Let's go to the reliance of fossil fuels and industrialized agriculture. So not only does she expect the United States to bear the responsibility of providing adequate, nutritionally diverse, safe, and culturally appropriate food for the world, she wants us to do it without fossil fuels and without industrialized agricultural industry. So hook the yoke back up to the ox, plow your fields, farmers. That's right. You got to plow your fields with an ox and a plow and a yoke now. I feel bad for those guys that have like 500,000 acres. I mean, how are they going to get it all plowed and planted? By the time they finish plowing it, it'd be winter again. These people just don't get how stupid they really are. She continued, the fact that food insecurity, malnutrition, water and air pollution are rampant in certain parts of the United States, disproportionately impacting the most vulnerable populations, indicates that the United States is not upholding its human rights obligations, even within its own borders. So now she's going to tell us how to run our business here at home while telling us we're responsible for running everybody's business in the world. Again, self-awareness, folks. How does this crap work? So, two sides to the Venezuelan conflict here. As Elver and her team evaluate the situation in the United States, in Venezuela, the global acute malnutrition rate has passed the 10% threshold used to UN agencies to constitute a serious food crisis. Elver appeared before the HRC in Geneva on Thursday to present her annual report and was challenged about Venezuela. Now, Hillel Noor, executive director of the non-governmental organization UN Watch, asked her why it is that out of 11,058 words in the report, there is not one word for the millions of Venezuelans who can't get enough to eat. He noted of the 9 country visits that she has made since taking up her mandate, not one was to Venezuela. If your mandate is to defend hungry people, why have you refused to write a report or call for an urgent debate or a commission of inquiry for families who are now forced to adopt emergency strategies of the kind used during famine in war-torn countries? I love it. Somebody put this broad on the hot seat. Are you not aware that 34% of people in Venezuela are either selling assets to buy food, eating from garbage bins, or sending children to beg food, and in some cases selling their kids for food. Elver responded that her office had requested permission to visit Venezuela, but received no response. So she's saying that they can't go anywhere if the governments aren't cooperating. An inability to visit did not mean her office was not doing anything, though, she said. I don't know what they were doing. They weren't doing anything in Venezuela. So anyway, she says, we're doing a lot of investigation. How? You're not there. But the issue is too complicated, she said. There are two sides of this conflict, as usual in many other conflicts. And we want to be objective rather than geopolitical interest. So here's the thing, okay? We don't care about geopolitical interest. We care about starving people. So is the government not allowing the United Nations, the government of Venezuela, not allowing the United Nations to come in and examine what's going on? If so, the United Nations needs to take steps. Can they be good for something? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But right now, we got people starving in Venezuela, and the UN is doing nothing. Even Canada objected to Elver's nomination to her position, with then Foreign Minister John Baird saying in a letter to the HRC that her public record clearly demonstrates abysmal judgment. Baird noted, for example, that Elver had accused Israel of genocide and water apartheid. And now, Elver, a research professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, is the spouse of Princeton international law scholar Richard Falk, who from 2008 to 2014 served in another of the HRC's special rapporteur posts, in his case focusing on the human rights in the occupied Palestinian territories. Falk has himself drawn flack for views suggesting an apparent cover-up of the 9/11 terror attacks and arguing that the Boston Marathon bombing was an understandable consequence of the American global domination project, as well as harsh condemnation of Israel. So you see where all this is coming from. It has absolutely nothing to do with Venezuela. It has absolutely nothing to do with starving people. It has everything to do with their geopolitical agenda. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. We got to take a commercial break. We'll be coming back in about 3 minutes. So do yourself a favor and stay tuned. Rick's going to hit the button, play some music, and then we'll talk to you soon.
Whether we realize it or not, everyone has been impacted by addiction. We all have family members, we all have friends that have faced this demon. But there's hope. There's hope in recovery. There's hope when we work together to rise above the plight of addiction. I'd like you to join Mac Mullings every Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. on Rise Above Radio on KOKC 1520 AM, where they talk about the hope that is available to all of us.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Jumping through some hoops, wanna get my body loose, wanna tell you what to do. I've been running out of bounds like an animal struggling, looking for a diamond. I'm trying, I'm fighting, riding in the rhythm now.
Oh yeah, okay. Welcome back. It is great to be back with you. I know it's only been like 3 minutes, but I miss you guys. What can I tell you? So anyway, just a reminder, top of the hour, FUBAR coming up with Polita and Orty Packard, America Off the Rails with Rowdy Rick after that. And go ahead and mark your calendar, be looking forward to it. March 27th will be the next edition of Toxic Masculinity.
Hey, where are the white women at?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where are they at anyway? It's cold. They're all hiding inside trying to stay warm. Yes, it's even cold down here on the Gulf. Anyway, the next little bit we're going to be talking about DC's new favorite spastic child, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Nice girl, but about as sharp as a sack of wet mice.
That's right. That's exactly right. I really like that. I'm glad you had that, Rick. Anyway,
I've had it prepped, just waiting for somebody to mention her.
Oh, I'm all over it. All over it. We gotta mention her quite a bit here. But she actually caught somebody's attention. Somebody that might know a little bit about her new Green Deal proposal. The co-founder of the environmentalist group Greenpeace. Patrick Moore, the co-founder of Greenpeace, called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez a pompous little twit and criticized.
Is any of this filtering through that little blue bonnet of yours?
Yeah. He said her Green New Deal was completely crazy, saying that if fossil fuels were banned, it would bring about mass death. Patrick Moore, who said he left Greenpeace 33 years ago because they were hijacked by eco-fascists, tweeted Saturday, at AOC, pompous little twit, you don't have a plan to grow food for 8 billion people without fossil fuels. See, we talked about this earlier in the UN story. Remember I told you she wanted us to do all the farming without industrialized agriculture? Same ties in here. Same ties in. Or get the food into cities. You're going to use horses and covered wagons? If fossil fuels were banned, every tree in the world would be cut down for fuel for cooking and heating. You would bring about mass death, he said. Furthermore, he blasted her for calling climate change our World War II, saying instead the Green New Deal would be worse than World War II. Let's see. Is this still him talking here? Yeah. Yeah, he kept going. I guess he did a tweet storm here. We're going to use all of this. This is good stuff. His next tweet, isn't AOC a bit young to be talking about World War II? It was hell, and more than 60 million died. It's her Green New Deal that would be worse than World War II. Imagine no fuel for cars, trucks, tractors, combines, harvesters, power plants, ships, aircraft, etc. Transport of the people and goods would grind to a halt. Carrying on, he said, I suspect AOC is a flash in the pan. Her Green New Deal is so completely crazy, it is bound to be rejected in the end. But she does have wind in her sails due to the political situation. 2020 will be even more interesting now, he said. He also went on to criticize her use of ride-sharing apps Uber and Lyft while campaigning instead of using the subway near her office. Yeah, it's funny because she complains about these ride-sharing services tremendously, but she uses them. And if you've paid any attention to her, it's basically it's good enough for me. You just need to stop. Yeah, more of that attitude. The world as it is has the option of taking the subway rather than a taxi, an Amtrak rather than a plane, opening a window instead of the AC. Moore said, you're just a garden variety hypocrite like others. You have zero expertise at any of the things you pretend to know. Now, for her part, Cortez responded saying, I also fly and use air conditioning. Living in the world as it is isn't an argument against working towards a better future. The Green New Deal is about putting a lot of people to work in developing new technologies, building new infrastructure, and getting us to 100% renewable energy. Okay, there's nothing wrong with working towards renewable energy. But she has to understand that it doesn't matter how many people you throw at it when there is a limitation of the technology. Okay? There's only so far that mankind can go at one time. Breaking the GDP of the world 18 times over to try to force new technology is not going to work. Am I all about some renewable energy? Absolutely. I think that as the technology comes available, we should embrace what we can embrace logically, sensibly. Commerce still has to happen. I'm not talking about flushing fossil fuels. For me, my drive here in town for work to get to the office, and I have a company car, so I can't do anything about what they decide to do as far as a vehicle. But if it was for me, I live about a mile from where that company car gets parked every night. And my commute daily is from my house to that transportation hub. I swap my vehicle for their vehicle, and then I drive. Sometimes I'll put as much as 250, 300 miles a day on their car. Sometimes it just happens that way. Some days I put 3 miles on their car. But then I come back at the end of the day and I swap out and I get in my car and I drive a mile kind of perpendicular to my home and perpendicular to them, to the gym where I work out. And from there, it's about 1.5 miles to 2 miles back to my house. So, well, let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say it's a 4 mile. I drive 4 miles a day in my car. Would it hurt me to use an electric car? No, it would not. I would have no problem with that. Now, if I had to drive that electric car all over the road for the entity I work for, I might have a problem in finding charging stations. I would definitely have an issue of wasting my time waiting for the vehicle to charge because I exceeded the battery capacity in less than a day. So, sensible. But yeah, we can be responsible with renewable energy and still have fossil fuels. So Ocasio-Cortez took to Twitter and she said, "I need to admit something to you all. Frankly, I don't know how my environmental reputation can recover. Today, I wrote in a book made out of paper. Apparently using present technology means I can't fight for new jobs, investing in infrastructure and renewable energy." So, see, she's trying to play it off as you ignorant peasants don't understand what I'm trying to do. And it's not that we don't understand what she's trying to do. We don't appreciate the ridiculous way in which she's trying to do it. Okay, so that's the big problem. The Green New Deal, $93 trillion, something like 16 times the world's GDP to enact this Green New Deal, because breaking the world 16 times over is the answer to solving climate change. Whatever. And now, like I told you, this is the AOC segment, so the next story is related to her as well. It concerns an FEC complaint from a Republican group that payments made to Riley Roberts, the boyfriend of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are a naughty little no-no. The Coolidge-Reagan Foundation filed a complaint alleging that the Socialist Democrat may have illegally funneled thousands of dollars through an allied PAC to Roberts. Inquiries began when Roberts was reportedly listed as having an official congressional email account, something that violates the House ethics rules. Ocasio-Cortez defended the decision to provide her boyfriend with the email account by saying he isn't a paid staffer and that he simply needs access to her congressional calendar. Further scrutiny revealed that Roberts had received payments for quote-unquote marketing services through a PAC hired by the freshman congresswoman. According to the complaint, Cortez converted official funds raised through contributions to her candidate committee to personal use by transferring a total of $6,191.32 from her campaign committee to brand new Congress PAC in the late August and September 2017 season. There, why is that worded like that, Seymour? That's some really lousy note taking. Which contemporaneously had its affiliated LLC pay $6,000 to her boyfriend Riley. Now, the group contends that the payment potentially ran afoul of campaign finance law. On information and belief, the group writes, the true intent of the payment to Riley was to provide personal benefit to a boyfriend rather than defray bona fide campaign expenses. Now, keep this in mind. It is not illegal for Ocasio-Cortez to pay her boyfriend. But if they created some sort of scheme to avoid claiming the money as a campaign expense, an attorney who filed the complaint said, what exactly did he do for the money? Okay, so there we go. Again, you have to be able to prove that services were rendered. Now, a spokesperson for the PAC involved said the complaint claims all of the payments are legal. Roberts was hired based on his experience managing successful advertising and social media campaigns. Ocasio-Cortez fired off a tweet denying any impropriety and alleging that the conspiracy machine is in full effect. She said, "No, I didn't shadily pay my boyfriend. Come on and vet." With an FEC complaint now filed and ethics violations being alleged, it would appear that at least some people are indeed going to vet her actions. If they're fine, so be it. If they're not, pay the penalty. That's how it's supposed to work. So, bam, we got a couple minutes. We can do one more here if we do it quick. I've told you for a long time that Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter and co-founder, would be the ruination of the social media platform. Dorsey addressed claims his social media platform had targeted conservatives and admitted they had likely acted too swiftly in banning some right-wing users and failed to explain their reasons. In conversation with podcast host Joe Rogan, Dorsey and his chief legal officer, Vijaya Gadde, fielded questions and criticisms regarding widespread accusations of the company catering to liberal viewpoints. Now, Dorsey's quote here, "Probably our team having a lack of context into actually what's happening, we would finally admit we probably were way too aggressive when we first saw this as well and made mistakes." Really? Really, Jack? The controversy surrounding the social media giant came after conservatives and those expressing conservative viewpoints complained their accounts had been suspended for ideological reasons. Columbia University researcher Richard Hanaya recently published an analysis showing that of the 22 public figures banned by Twitter in the last few years, 21 were Trump supporters. Conspiracy theory talk show host and Trump supporter Alex Jones, who ironically was on Rogan's show just a few days before, had his account suspended last year, along with other figures like right-wing activist, I'm not even going to say her name, you know who she is, the crazy one, and former GOP congressional candidate Jesse Kelly. Now, in Kelly's case, the company failed to explain the ban even after his account was later reinstated. I don't think they were ready for what happened with Jesse when they suspended his account. I really don't. I still contend that that storm was bigger than they were looking for. A lot of where they have failed, Dorsey said, is explaining why behind our policy and reasons. And he said that he will look into alleged excesses. Whatever. He's not going to do anything. As a case example of the kind of bias in question, Rogan and his fellow guest journalist Tim Pool brought up the company's policy against misgendering, a term for referring to or addressing transgender people as something other than the gender they identify with. Canadian feminist Meghan Murphy was recently booted from Twitter over accusations that she misgendered her opponent in the debate. Now, Gadde explained that the rule in question was only enforced if a specific person is repeatedly targeted in a way that could be considered harassment. Now, Poole was unconvinced. "You're biased, and you're targeting specific individuals because your rules support this perspective, he argued, suggesting that the rule itself reflected a liberal viewpoint. You have essentially created a protected class, Rogan chimed in, highlighting how the company's claims to political neutrality are undermined by the one-sided way it has enforced its policy against targeted harassment. It was a brilliant session. Rogan and Poole were awesome. I think they could have pushed a little harder, but I still think they did a great job exposing Vijaya and Jack for the frauds they are. And, with that, it is what it is. Folks, that's about it for tonight. We're getting close to the top of the hour. I'm sure that Polita and Orty Packard are kicking the tires, lighting the fires, and getting ready to charm your pants off of you. Mine have already been off, so they can't do that to me. If you like the show, tell your friends. If your friends like the show, get new ones. But they and you are welcome right here with me every week on KLRN Radio for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. I'm your host, The Grouch. Peace and God bless. I love you.
I hate this place. Nothing works here. The medications don't work. I've been here for 7 years. Here's to us. Here's to love. All the times that we messed up. Here's to you. Feel the grass. 'Cause the last few nights have kicked my ass. If they give you hell, tell them go fuck themselves. Here's to us. Here's to us. Here's to us.